Line up right kind of in a semicircle here if we can. There are some more chairs in here, you guys. There's a chair here, chair right up front. There's another chair on the far side. Come on in, squeeze in. We do only have 2 hours, and we do have a fairly large crowd here, so there's not going to be opportunity for follow-up questions until we get through everybody's initial questions. So if you'd like to ask a second question, you may be out of luck based on the volume of the crowd, but the volume of the crowd doesn't always indicate the volume of the questions, so you can hold out hope. We will give all the candidates opportunity to have a closing statement of 1 minute, and at 9 o'clock we're going to end it and just ask you to push the chairs, stack them on the back wall, and we've got some coffee and cookies and things, and we just want to do a bit of a meet and greet, and that'll give you an opportunity to pigeonhole the candidates individually if you'd like. I've been told that we've got people here that are heavily involved with the community association. We can stay all night if we have to, but we've got till like 9:30, 10 o'clock if you'd like to do that, depending on how long the candidates can hold up. Without any further ado, I think we should get started. The last thing I would say is please just turn off your cell phones and things before we get started, okay? So that we can get through this. Like I say, 2 hours, it's going to go fairly quickly. So we'll just start here and we'll just work our way across and ask the candidates to introduce themselves and we'll go from there. Any questions? Everybody ready? Here we go.
Great, thanks. First guy up. Wow, what a crowd. My name's Cal Fair, born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta, moved out to the coast here in 1967. Started well, first I got an education in mechanical contracting, plumbing, gas, pipe fitting, heating, etc., fire sprinklers, and started my company up Northern Star Plumbing and Gas. I moved up to Sooke here in 2000. June the 1st, 2000, I moved in here. I came here for the fishing. I lived up in the Highlands, and I'd bring my boat down and try and go fishing, and it was sometimes too rough. Took my boat home and didn't fish that day, so I thought it'd be better to live out here. So I can go fishing on a regular basis. I fell in love with the place. I sold my business in March of 2013. I'm semi-retired. That's about it for me.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. I'm Carrie Ray, and I'm seeking re-election in my second term. And I believe I bring informed decision-making, and I'm committed, fair, and consistent.
Wow. I'm Kevin Pearson. I've lived in Sooke all my life, 57 years, and I'm seeking re-election because I love Sooke. I've learned a lot over the last 3 years. I've learned how to do some things, and I've learned how not to do some things. All I can tell you is that I'll give you the honest try, and I'll do my best for everybody that's in this community. Always have and always will. So I'm really appreciative of you guys listening to all of us tonight, because I think you have a great selection here. And I think that Sooke has a tremendous future, and as long as we pay attention to that future and look at the past where we've been and value that, we'll be great. So looking forward to you guys all coming out on November the 15th.
Good evening, my name is Maya Tate, and I'm born in Calgary, and I grew up in a small community called Bray Creek. Moved to the island in '97, and then out here to Sooke in 2006 with my husband. And I think it's a wonderful place. It's a beautiful place with stunning scenery, wonderful people, and a very strong, diverse history. I've served on council now for 2 terms, and I'm motivated to run for mayor because I believe in the people here, the history that we have, and the potential of this area. And I truly believe that by working together with strong communication, a spirit of inclusivity, and by respecting the diversity amongst our community, we can accomplish the potential that we have here. Thank you very much for coming this evening.
Thank you, Maya. My name is Justin Hansen. I am a lawyer. I've been living in Sooke for the past 3 years with my wife and my 2 young kids, aged 5 and 1.5. I was originally born in Trinidad in the Caribbean, so I'm a long way from my birthplace, but like everybody before me, since I moved to Sooke, I've fallen in love with the natural beauty and its people. I'm running on behalf of the Pro-Amalgamation Party. Probably going to say, well, that's a long shot in Sooke, but it might be, but I'm telling you this. The CRD with its 13 municipalities, 91 council members, 13 mayors, 5 911 call centers, 520 zoning bylaws. It's not working for us, and we need a better way to go about doing this. So we're here with the pro-amalgamation party trying to get the province to fund a study into amalgamation in the Victoria CRD region. We don't know what that's going to look like, but we'd like to know the pros and cons before making choices. I believe that the government should have a say not only in who governs them, but what form that government should take. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Parkinson, and I have been on council once before from 2005 to 2008. I have my degree in tourism bachelor management, and I am an active volunteer here in Sooke. I've chaired the Mayor's Panel on Arts and Beautification and chaired the Communities in Bloom. I'm president of the Sooke Seniors Diamond Jubilee Housing Association and the Caledonia Society. I'm also a committee member on the Sooke Lions Club Canada Day celebrations. The mandate for the Mayor's Panel on Arts and Beautification is to bring forth artwork for the enjoyment of all residents. The Graffiti Wrap project engaged the talents of local photographers, while the electrical boxes at Edward Gregor Park used the talents of local artists to paint the structures. The district bus shelter saw local artwork installed upon them. Through this committee, the concept and implementation of the Thursday night market at the museum was brought to life. The district was awarded 5 Blooms status for their participation in Communities in Bloom in 2013 and 2014. Our committee decorated the town for Christmas with over 24 residents, including the mayor making swags. Funding for these projects come from the 3% development permit fees and for grants, which I was successful in receiving. Thank you very much, and I hope to receive your vote on November 15th. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Herb Haldane, and I've lived in Sooke most of my life. I did live in Victoria for a spell, but moved back here once the affordable housing kicked in and I could afford to buy a house. Anyhow, to dispel any rumors about me and the type of person that I am, I'll give you an idea. I've never hunted before in my life. I've never killed a single animal ever. A guy named Milt Gibson, he was my kindergarten librarian, and he taught me to pick up worms off the road when it rained out and put them in the garden. So I started doing that when I was 6, and I still do it to this very day. I've never subdivided a single piece of property in my life. I build 2, maybe 3 houses a year tops. I do some renovations and contracting, which I've done for the last 20 years. I get along great with all my sub-trades, and I treat them quite fairly. And you can talk to any of them around town, and they'll tell you the same thing. I have no criminal record of any kind. I've never had an impaired charge. I've never had an assault charge. I'm just a good guy, and I hope you guys will vote me for mayor here in 2 weeks.
How do I follow that one? My name is Ebony Logans, and I was born and raised in Sooke. It's kind of nice to see a few faces here who helped me grow up in an old school bus that was renovated up on the mountain behind Edward Milne. I graduated EDMCS and got my degree in tourism as well. That's pretty cool, Brenda. Tourism and recreation management in Nanaimo. I moved all over BC and I came back. And I'm here to represent those young people in the community who have grown up here, leave to gather worldly experiences, and come back to make this community a bit better. I'm hoping to bring a few ends together and help young people understand politics and how the community works, and get their ideas out there as well. Thank you very much all for coming, and thank you, Ellen, for putting this on. Ask me any questions you want.
Hello, my name is Mark Whiteson. I was born and raised in London, UK, moved to Toronto in '87, and moved to Sooke 8 years ago, during which time I was able to get a history honours degree. I worked for small companies, large companies, always in the private sector, and always companies that had tight financial restraints, where we couldn't just get money whenever we wanted to. We had to live within budgets, very, very tight budgets. My platform is simple. Due to the fact there are a limited amount of taxpayers, a limited amount of money coming in, we must look after the needs of the community first and foremost, not the wants, the needs. As I understand it, the safety of citizens within a community is the primary duty of a local government. I believe that to achieve our primary role of local government is to concentrate our resources on the emergency services and the infrastructure. My targets for the upcoming council are getting policing coverage 24/7 rather than 21/7, and high curbs or sidewalks in a lot of key areas. White lines will not protect the kids next week when the clocks go back, it's dark, they're walking around, dark clothes, and I don't think any of them have flashlights. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. This is great to see such a big crowd here. My name is Bev Berger, and I was born and raised here in Sooke. I graduated from Edward Milne in 1994. I left Sooke for a total of 11 years. I spent a year in San Diego, 5 years in Victoria, and 5 years in Boston. It was extremely important to me to raise my kids with the same sense of community that I was raised with here in Sooke. So I brought my family back to Sooke in 2005. We started our own company, and in the last 9 years, I've had the privilege of working at home as being a certified bookkeeper. Being able to do that has let me be involved with my community as well as my kids. I've been a member of the elementary school PACs, the middle school PACs, school planning committees, numerous sporting events with my 3 very busy kids. So in going forward, I'm seeking re-election for a 3rd term. I believe I have a lot to offer. I bring diversity as well as the youth voice to Sooke as being a mom of 3 young kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Bev. Good evening, everyone. Jeff Bateman. My wife, Carolyn, and I moved here back in 2003. I was born on a military base in Camp Borden, and my dad was a colonel, and we moved everywhere throughout my childhood. I met Carolyn in university, Toronto, Vancouver, Salt Spring. We've lived here in Sooke now longest we've ever been in any one place, and it feels like home. We're in our late 50s, and it's a place that we're committed to. I'm a freelance writer with a home-based business. I am also a volunteer with the Sooke Transition Town Society, the EMCS Society, and also the Sooke Farmland Trust Society. So the next step for me is the step I'm taking, which is to take a run for council. So look forward to seeing how that plays out in the weeks ahead. Thank you.
Great. My name is Rick Casper, and what a great bunch of people. It just shows what this community can offer. And I personally want to applaud all of you. All of the people here are different, but they're none the lesser. And that's what I've always subscribed to, is inclusivity in this community, and to make sure that the taxpayers' interests are represented, to do what we can afford, but to make sure that we're making decisions that are going to ensure that we have a sustainable, vibrant community for working families, for our seniors and our youth. You know, I just want to say that I've had a privilege of working with the current council. I'm seeking a 3rd term. Over 90% of the decisions that our council made were unanimous. A lot of people don't know that, but that's a fact. We did over 1,000 pieces of business. I'm not talking about just voting on motions, I'm talking about real business to make our community better. When we were first elected, we had some problems that we had to deal with, and we worked hard to deal with those problems. And what we've strived to do is to make sure that we have the financial ability to make decisions that benefit all this community that's in a truly sustainable way. So thank you very much for coming here this evening. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks everybody. Great job. Great job keeping it within the minute. Well done. Now, if you have questions, line up over here towards the mic, and I believe Alan has the first question. Alan, fire away. And we'll just work back and forth with the mic if that's all right with you guys, okay? If the question's specific to a specific person, that person will answer first, okay? Every candidate will get a chance to respond to every question if they would like to do that. You don't have to respond if you don't feel you need to. All right? Does that sound good? Okay.
Okay, my question is this, because you are, I want to know if you are qualified, if you feel you're qualified to deal with these issues that are going to face you? Do you feel that you are capable to look after a sewer contract that's going to come up in your term? To deal with the roundabout, to deal with staff contracts, to deal with the prestige contract, Heartland no longer taking wood waste as of January 2015, the cost of the sludge from our sewer plant, and how to remediate community space, parkland, and the library plans. There's so many issues. I just want to know if you feel that you can handle these issues in your term.
Well, that's a heck of a pile of stuff, Ellen. Oh, look, you know, trust you. You come to a lot of meetings and you ask a lot of questions, and I admire you for it. You know, this is my 25th year of holding public office in 3 different levels of government. I'm not a career politician, so don't believe that. But, you know, I think that I have the ability to actually look at those types of issues in a sound manner that's going to benefit our community. And my approach is this. You put this community first before anybody else. Where I don't believe in dealing with and making decisions just to benefit special interests. I want to make sure, because of what you mentioned, the EPCOR contract coming up within the next 2 years, that the cost benefit to the users is truly to the users. We have some issues with the current contract. Personally, I think that we're paying way too much for the level of service we get. So I think that we have to do a really good apples to apples comparison on how we can get a better deal. So thank you for your questions, but yes, I think I have the ability to deal with those tough tasks. Thank you.
Where does one begin? You know, I'm a rookie in all this, and I think I have the ability to listen and learn. I think a lot of these, you know, there is a professional staff at the district to which we pay $3 million a year. And I think the professional staff will provide the guidance along with perhaps some of my more experienced potential colleagues. And I will be in a position to make decisions as they arise in the moment and through homework and doing my work. Now the roundabout, the corporate strategic plan is underway, and there needs to be a continuity. It's dealing with the roundabout, prestige agreement, that, you know, the library plans, the Vancouver Island Regional Library has a lot to say about the future of our library in this town. So I'm a listener. I have no choice but to listen and learn if I am indeed. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a whole lot of question, Ellen. As a member of the past council, I do feel like I'm qualified. I feel that we foster relationships with the Ministry of Transportation. They do, in fact, own Highway 14, so as many of you know, if we decide to do something on the main road, we can't do it alone. We do have to meet with the ministry, and we do have working memorandums of understanding that we have built. The sewer contract, I agree with my colleague, Mr. Casper. I think that we need to take a hard look at that contract. We've never entertained what that could be as a municipal system. Currently in our 2004 budget, expenditures for our sewer system is $2.7 million, and our revenue is 2.3. So looking at those numbers, there are some shortfalls, and we need to look at how that can be fixed. The library cost, that's a hard one. The library is its own board. We collect on a total of over $400,000 per year out of your kind pockets and your taxes to have a library here in Sooke. I don't personally believe that we're getting the best value for that. So again, that's fostering relationships and working with different branches of other parts of government so we can get what's best for Sooke.
I honestly feel that I am qualified for a variety of reasons. Whilst I don't have the inside knowledge of the present council to a lot of the details, I worked for Universal Music Canada, and I was able to negotiate a lot of deals and work directly with Walmart head office and Zellers when they were still around. I currently own a business here in Sooke, and negotiation is something that you have to get into all the time on small levels and high levels. Whilst I don't have as I said, the current knowledge of the local council, I know how to read things, understand things objectively, and take an honest and ethical approach to it. Thank you very much.
I am also new to this game. However, I'm here because I want to take on those challenges. And I want to show other people how to take on those challenges as well. so that they're not in the position of being young and uninformed. I also believe that my experience working with nonprofits definitely plays a role in that. I am responsible for being accountable for government funds and accountable for public funding that we get down to the very penny. And grant writing is something that I'm into as well. So bringing the costs down would be very important as well. I have a track record of 1 hour for $9,000, so I know I have the abilities there. Yeah, that's everything.
Excuse me if I don't stand, but I hurt my back this morning lifting stuff out of the truck. But what I'd like to talk about is the fact that how complicated this job is. It's pretty obvious by that question that Ellen gives. So when it comes down to it, you've got councillors who've been here for 1, 2, and 3 terms, and it's great that new ones come into the fold at the same time, but keep in mind that you want new mixed in with people coming back because it is that convoluted and complicated to do this job. We don't have the property yet for the roundabout, so that's going to be something that comes up. We do have part of it, but we still have to try and acquire the rest of it. The sewer system, to give you an idea, we spend $295,000 of that contract on labor. And we probably spend about another $100,000 of that contract on getting rid of the sludge. We pay $1.1 million a year to EPCOR to run the entire thing. So there's at least $600,000, probably more in savings if we bring it in-house, if we do it ourselves, we run it with our own people. And that creates local jobs for local people, and then the money turns over in Sooke. That money that we could use out of the savings of the contract could be used for these sidewalks, roundabouts, and so on. And the roundabout's not going to be free either. Ministry of Transportation is going to come forward with a news bulletin explaining how they're promising to pay for part of it, but we have to cover the other part. So in this case, yeah, it's complicated. We're never going to be able to get everything done unless we get more money.
I believe that I'm capable of doing these jobs. I take the time to listen and to learn. I have been going to the council meetings for the past 3 years. I have sat on numerous council committees so that I can be informed in my bid to run for council. So I think that I would, I know that I would take the time to sit down, to listen and to learn, and to be a positive force within this council. Thanks.
I've been practicing law now for the past 10 years, but it's not the fact that I'm practicing law that makes me qualified for this job. It's what law I've been doing. I've been acting for strata corporations up and down Vancouver Island, 400 of them for the last 8 or 9 years. In that time period, I have negotiated dozens of construction contracts. I've overseen, again, dozens of employment contracts. So I have experience both in construction law and employment law. I have experience in creating and keeping to very tight budgets. I realize from my practice with strata corporations, from here in Sooke all the way up to Campbell River, that oftentimes it's important that the flashy and popular projects get set aside because of our budget. Often it is, as was pointed out by one of my fellow candidates here, that we have to look at repair and maintenance issues, infrastructure issues, instead of the flashy issues that would be more popular in the community. So again, I think I'll bring fairness, and I think I will bring openness, and I think I'll bring a great deal of experience to council if you choose to elect me. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Ms. Lures. The question for me was the qualifications to take on these challenges. And they are very different challenges, from sewer contracts to road maintenance, infrastructure, staffing, and so forth. And I believe with 2 terms on 2 very different councils, I've acquired the experience to take on those challenges. A lot of being the mayor involves bringing out the strengths, the talents, and the skill set of the people around you. And I see sitting here with me qualified and very intelligent people who are really going to draw out what is best in this community, and to also draw from the professional staff that we have to provide us with the answers to the questions that we ask. And so it has been a very unique experience that I've had over the last 6 years. In my day job, I manage projects. I'm a property manager, and I've done that for almost 15 years now. But at this point, it's those teachable moments that come from the wisdom of making decisions of the past that will help me obtain the skill set that I need to go forward in the future. Thank you.
Could you repeat the question, Ellen? I echo some of the statements of some of the other people that have been there. We have great experts on our staff. Am I qualified? In my day job, I manage a budget about 4 times as large as what Sooke is. I negotiate contracts with various suppliers in the Greater Victoria area to the tune of about $40 million. But it's about, anyone can learn to negotiate contracts, but it's about paying attention to the details, about looking where there's opportunities for savings, but opportunities to have a win-win. So when you're negotiating with someone, you always want to come up with both people are happy at the end of the contract, because if I get everything I want, you're not happy, and if you get everything you want, then I'm not happy. So it's about getting the best value for the taxpayers, looking at the contract in detail, negotiating. Yes, I'm qualified.
Thank you. In my role as local manager with corrections, I was responsible for 26 contracts, delivering 40 programs from Terrace to the Yukon border amongst a number of First Nations communities. So I do have that experience. I have been on council for 1 term. That is really, it's a very complex undertaking, and so I'm still on a learning curve, and I would believe that we need to utilize the staff that we have and to listen and to make sure that our decisions are well informed, and yes, I do believe I have those skills.
Ellen, if all those things come up on the first council meeting, no, I can't handle it. Like I've told you before, I've been self-employed since February 1978 up until March of 2013, and I've been in the ditches. I'm a plumber. I also worked on the sewage treatment plant when it first was constructed. I've been a leader in the community in several volunteer groups. I work my way through every issue that I come to. I work hard at it and I get it done. And yes, I can handle it all. Thank you.
Okay, next question.
Hello, my name is Donna Hoff, and I've been a member, resident of Sooke for the last 12 years. I'd like to propose a question to all the candidates here, but for the sake of the time and the amount of people, I'll limit my question to the 2 mayoral candidates. And I would like to know from you how you would curb the excessive wages that we've been paying. For the last 3 years, we've had some employees that have received as much as $21,000 pay increase, which works out to a 7% pay raise per year. I don't know what out of any either public or private sector that has provided their employees with that amount of pay raise. And if this continues, this trend, within the next 5 to 6 years, we'll have at least a few employees that are making more than the premier of this province.
Thank you, Mrs. Hogg. This was something that was raised in the last election, and the current council has taken great steps to contain that. Recognizing the CPI and in some cases not limiting the raises. So it has been discussed, and we've received sort of comparatives from similar sized communities to always ensure that the raises or that the wages are in check. It's recognized, and there's been work done to keep that contained, and I think everyone is aware of that, and there's ways for job satisfaction of creating a positive work environment so that job satisfaction comes without the money being required. And I believe that that would be the best approach as you move forward. Thank you.
It's a tough balance because since I've been a counselor, when you come in, they talk about staff morale and so on and so forth. And I've always been an advocate of paying what's fair, what's reasonable, especially because I come from the private sector. At this point right now, if you look at how we've been handling it because we keep switching over council after council, senior staff after senior staff. So every time somebody new comes in, they tell you this is how it's done, where they come from, and then so on and so forth. Recently, and Maya was right, we've taken steps. So we've created this setup where we have senior staff levels that are maxed out at a certain level, and then they will just get a cost of living increase after a certain time. They have gone up a lot over the last bunch of years, but we've curbed that. To give you an idea what happens in the union component of it, we've been going with the standard rate every time, which is 2 to 3%, because when they come in to do the deliberations with you, they say, oh, this is what Victoria gets, this is what they get in Saanich, this is what they get, and so on and so forth. So they end up getting 2 and 3%. And we've been trying to curb that for a number of years, but we get a lot of pushback, especially from the senior staff who says, we want morale. We pay $700 a month for coffee. That's what we pay for coffee. So there's morale for you. We pay over $4,000 per year per employee for the dental medical program, because we're the only union group who pays 100% dental medical. The other ones pay 80, and I don't know why we pay 100, but we worked out something. We pay 2 flex days every single month. So anyhow, 1 minute's up. So.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Margarita Dominguez. I represent the Sooke Animal Food and Rescue Society. I will first provide a statement and update it in the file. We started a rescue in Sooke by creating a pet food bank and also a feral cat rehabilitation center. Over the last 3 years, we have trap and rescue, spay, neuter, and find homes for almost 300 cats. During that time, we have discovered that the feral cats.
You have a question?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Ask the question, please.
Yes, the question? Yes. The question is to all the councillors and to all the candidates, if you will support putting a motion or support the motion of renting us a piece of land where to keep all the feral cats instead of letting them starve as you have been doing until now.
Should I go first?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, I would support any kind of a proper process, but renting to you would mean we'd have to open up to rent to whoever else would want it as well. And I'm not aware of a whole bunch of property that we have available for rent. So again, this would become a staff issue where they would put together a list of the available properties and then would have to go to a public tender process. We can't just help one group or one business or one person over another. We'd have to make sure it's a fair system. So.
I'm in agreement with that. We would have to make sure that there is property and do a call out to the public and have a public hearing on that, because we cannot just give land to the different groups. There are a wide variety from sitting in council of different groups that would like to have property, whether it be for sporting or for whatever they would like, but there is a process and the public has to be involved.
I'm afraid I'm going to echo the comments of the other 2 candidates as well. I mean, the last council meeting, we spent an inordinate amount of time dealing with the horseshoe pitch. And there are people who are going to be wanting land for every single issue out there. And unless you go through the proper process, we can't make a commitment. Nobody in their right mind would make a commitment tonight to fund something like that without first seeing the pros and cons of the development. Thank you.
And I would agree with that as well. We'd support getting the information, what type of land are you looking for, and then having a discussion about it to see if it's something that's even possible. But this, I echo what's been said here.
You put us in a difficult position because you tug at our heartstrings for a great cause. And there's multiple wishes that come to the council all the time, and sometimes we have to say no because we just don't have money or we don't have those resources. But there's opportunities. Lots of times people should come to us with solutions, and pairing up with other organizations like Wild Ark and things like that. We do support organizations that are already established. It's difficult at the groundwork where you're at, but again, it's don't stop trying. But you ask at an all candidates meeting for a commitment from us. There's probably nobody here is going to give you that commitment because it's not possible. So, I do appreciate what you do. You come to council meeting after council meeting asking for things for assistance, and what you do is good work. So, it is a difficult position.
Thank you, and I too echo what's already been said. I think if you are looking for land, I would suggest you go to staff. It's very difficult for any of the councillors to say we'll do something without having the homework done, the land, how is it going to do, what's going to be the budget, what's going to be your business case plan. And I think that has already been said prior. So at this time, no, I wouldn't give you a commitment.
Unfortunately, I feel the same way as as the rest of them do. We just recently adopted a rescue dog out of North Vancouver, and they were doing it in their own home. And they've asked me to help out over here on the island to foster dogs while they're waiting to be adopted. But I'm doing it in my own home, so I don't see how you're going to get with any more with that.
Ms. Dominguez, I have to agree with everyone else as well. There's a lot of process that would have to go into that for me to make a decision. Yeah, thank you.
I would have to agree with what everyone else has said here. Once we open that door and set a precedent, everyone in this room can come to council and ask for land, money, resources, whatever they want. And if we've opened the door for one of these special interest groups, we can't afford to open the door for everyone else, and it would be totally unfair. I do apologize.
I'll keep it short and sweet. I agree with the rest of the candidates. I appreciate all the work that you do, but as we've said previously at the council table, we do spend currently $70,000 per year on animal control through CRD. So I think, again, going back to fostering relationships and maybe working with other groups, then maybe that could help you, but I'm sorry.
I'm a cat. We have a cat at home, a rescue cat, and yes, I've heard you, Ms. Dominguez, at a number of meetings, and you've certainly educated me on this issue. There is a big issue. However, I think everyone has said it well. Thank you.
I guess it was 21 years ago, my wife and I rescued 3 cats, and I think one of them lived till she was, what, 17 or 18 years old. This council has supported your organization, but not to the extent that you've asked. And we have found it difficult in taking any additional support to the extent that you're advocating right now. So I'd have to say no, and I'm sorry about that.
Sorry, you have supported the food bank, the pet food bank. You have not supported the cats.
Well,
thank you.
Next question.
Good evening, everyone. Immediately following the election of the current council, the mayor appointed a number of standing committees. Each committee was enhanced by at least 2 members from the community. This spring, the committees were discontinued. My question is this: if you are elected, will you support the re-establishment of those committees? And to keep it short, a simple yes or no will do.
I honestly don't understand that question, so I'll pass it along. If you're referring to the dissolution of the EDC and the creation of the mayor's advisory panels, I suspect those mayor's advisory panels are quite effective. And however, I'm not quite clear on your question, but I'll hand it over to a sitting council.
I can't give a short answer, but yes. And the steps that we took in 2011-12 was to bring in taxpayers to be part of the decision making and to make recommendations. The first time that was ever done, where members of the public served, and they did it voluntarily to assist council in making major decisions in this community. And I would support that 100%, because I think going any other direction is going backwards. I want to see this community move forward.
I absolutely support public committees all across the board.
I would say yes as well. We are public servants, and we have to take the public's information in and use it to their benefit. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I've been to some of those meetings. I think they're very important, but I also think we need to do a better job at making sure that they're better attended and that we have a lot of people giving input at those meetings.
Both the Finance Committee and the Land Use Committee that were established offered a lot for the public to be able to come forward and get answers to a lot of questions. And if you try to do it through a different process, you don't end up getting those straight answers. And when people who are having trouble subdividing their land or getting a rezone on their property or even just doing a little building permit, they can come forward and talk about their problems. And it worked out great. So I hope we do continue them, yes.
Yes, I support public input.
Well, I think I stated right at the outset that I'm a big fan of direct democracy, so absolutely I support that.
Yes, for the standing committees, though I would like to see greater, more public appointees to those committees and the task panels as well. I think we're very successful, and to see different types of those panels continue as well.
As a chair of one of those committees, absolutely yes, because the public input and the informal conversation at time is invaluable to push forward to council to help them make decisions. So yes.
Yes.
I'm not a no. I'm not a no. I was a maybe, but now I'm a yes.
My name is Troy Lebecki, and I would like to direct my question to the two candidates for mayor. Seems that our two candidates for mayor this term both are in full-time working positions. One works full-time in Victoria, the other one works in Sooke. I would ask the two of you, how much time will you be able to dedicate to this position if you are elected, without forgetting that the doors are closed up at the municipal hall every day around 4:30?
Thank you, Mr. Lebecki. Like 80% of our employed community, I do work in Victoria. Having been there for a number of years, though, I have a very flexible working arrangement with my employer. I have the ability to work from home, to telecommute, to work different hours. Property management isn't a 9-to-5 job. So in speaking with the current mayor and the schedule that he maintains, that he feels has been working, I would keep something very similar to what he has, with the addition of including Saturdays, because that's a very convenient time to meet with a lot of our residents. It's more convenient for them. They're busy as well during the week, and a lot of the mayor's job is out connecting with people and finding the best time for them, which is often on the weekends. And so it's incorporating what he's doing and adding that in as well. With modern technology, a lot of my work can be resolved over the phone or through email, and a lot of times I'm working from my car, so sitting at a desk is no longer really a requirement of my work. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. I work full-time in Sooke, and I do general contracting, so I line up the trades to build a house and to do renovations and so on. I do my little trips to Slag in Langford or to Home Hardware in Sooke, and I make my calls similar to Maya from the car and on the job site and so on. Even as I've been working in this trade for the last 20 years, even as a counselor, I've been doing this in and out of the office. So I go to the office at least probably once a day, probably 6-7 times a week if you count after the 4:30 time, to pick up information, to use things on the computer, and to go to the building department and so on, even for my own job. So I would be able to spend a lot of time in the office myself. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Deb Johnston, and I've been living in Sooke for about 17 years now. And I have a question for the two mayoral candidates. What, in one very quick sentence or a few words, what character traits do you have that would make you a really good leader for the incoming council? And the question for all the councillors would be, same thing, in a few words, one quick sentence, what makes you a really good team player?
Well, I could use a statement here, but my dad once told me that calm seas don't make good sailors. And I haven't had calm seas over the last 6 years, so I'll make a sailor.
Thank you, Ms. Johnston. In a nutshell, I'm a very empathetic person. I believe in active listening. I celebrate diversity, and I like to take a collegial approach to issues and respect the views of those around me.
Go ahead, team leader. I've been a team leader all my life.
Team player.
Team
player.
Yeah.
For all the council.
Players, yes. Okay, player. As you know, through Rotary, I've been heavily involved there as a team player. In my business, I'm a team player, get the guys going in the morning, and get the whip out and get that going. I've also been involved in fire department. I was volunteer for 12 years. You have to be a team player there. I rose to deputy chief, team player all the way there. I'm a Mason, Shriner, been a team player. I've been a little bit absent the last few years, but still there. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think being a team player, first and foremost, is a commitment to being respectful. And I certainly believe in creating respectful workplaces that are healthy for people to have discussions, good communication. I think I'm flexible, and I also believe I listen very well. And I think that really does lead to an environment that works well. Thank you.
Team player. I'm part of a very large team that delivers the mail all over Victoria. So you know what it's about? It's about valuing other team members, and you know, recognizing that everybody has a role to play, and respecting that role. So having fun when you're doing it too.
Well, I work as part of a team. Of course, I'm employed in a mid-sized law firm in Victoria, British Columbia, and we all act together in serving our clients. We all act together in furthering, in essence, the practice of law. So we have always been acting as a team. It's not a firm where we go after each other's clients. It is a family when asked. Being a team is like, being part of a team is like being part of a family. In addition, I've also done team sports, including long distance canoeing, where there's a team of 6 to 9 men paddling over 40 kilometers. So I know when you're a part of a team, you can't let your teammates down, especially when you're in the middle of that great big sea out there. So I'm all about teamwork. Thank you.
Team player. I've been the chair of numerous committees for the District of Sooke, and I've always included all of my team members in participating in everything that we bring forward. When we make discussions for whatever the committee is, whether it's Arts and Beautification, whether it is Communities in Bloom, everybody participates, all ideas are brought forward, and every idea has been presented to the mayor.
Thank you, Deb, for the great question. I'm here to promote an intergenerational approach to community development, so I believe my platform is working with the community as a team, as well as with other council members and the mayor to be. I am also a coach for Edward Milne Junior Girls Basketball, and we kick butt every year. I'd like to think I have something to do with that. The teams are awesome. And the stomping upstairs was from my martial arts club. I'm a sensei up there, and we work hard as a team as well. So yes, I will be great on a team.
I worked at Universal Music for 10 years, massive company, and there were scores and scores of working committees and groups that we had to be a part of. And if you weren't a team player, they would have kicked you out very, very quickly. And yes, team playing is very important, and I've done it all my life. And just like Justin there, members of a sports team, you know, does add to, you know, some of the qualifications for that role. Thank you.
Thank you, good question. I think part of being a team player, similar to Councillor Carrie Ray, is leadership, guidance, all of the above, and being able to work and listen with people. So I grew up here in Sooke playing soccer my whole life. I was actually the first female coach at soccer, the first female referee in Sooke soccer. I've got a team at my house pretty much every day. I've got 3 almost teen kids, and they've always got their friends over. So I think being able to listen and work well with people.
Okay, I'm trained as a journalist, and I've done a lot of interviews over the course of my life, and one of the key points I find is listening, the ability to take in other people's opinions, listen, and then feed back. So that would be part of my team approach. I played team sports as a kid, and interestingly, I'm president of the Sooke Transition Town Society, and that was a bit of a game of musical chairs because we work as a core team, a collegial core team. The Society Act requires us to have a president. However, we do work as a group of concerned citizens together. So there's less of a power over dynamic in terms of hierarchical structure. It's more of a working together to work towards some sort of common good. So that's my piece.
Well, this council, as I mentioned earlier, has worked as a team, as other councils have. And they all may not agree with everything, but this council, over 90% of what they've done was unanimous. They can work as a team, and I believe whoever's elected will work as a team. Because when they get elected, they're there to represent your interests. You are the team out here, and that's how it works. The council and the public, that's the big team, and I know it can work. Thanks.
Just remember, you guys, if you hold the mic closer to your mouth, right, it's a lot better to hear you, okay? Okay, good. Go ahead.
Gail Hall with a question for Councillor Haldane. And I would like to ask, did you gain financially from projects for which you voted at the council table? For example, the duplexes on Lanark and the houses on Tominey Road.
I don't understand the question totally, but I work for a living in construction, so I have to gain financially if I build something, I think, or I wouldn't do it.
I asked, did you gain financially from projects for which you voted at the council table?
No, I've never gained financially for anything I've voted for at a council table.
Oh.
Good evening, Christina Schlattner. First of all, I'd like to thank you all you folks for running in this election. It takes great courage, and I admire all of you. I would like to ask, we are part of a beautiful area, and we have our brothers and sisters of the Sooke Nation who also live in this area, and I'd like to know from all of you if you see any way that we can engage more, that the town council can engage more with the Sooke Nation so that our common interests can be moved forward.
I'll start. I think at this point we have a really good relationship with the Sooke Nation. I can't speak for everybody on council, but people like Kevin and myself have grown up with a lot of the people that live down there at this point. I play soccer with them, I played slow pitch, we've worked together, mills, forest industry, construction, and so on. And right now at the house that I'm building, or the duplex, 3 of the people that are helping frame the duplex for me right now are all Sooke Nations. And I think there's been a fantastic relationship since I was a little kid, and for the most part there's never been the them and us thing. It's always been a community, a whole town of Sooke, and we've always been inclusive with all of it. And I think Gord Plains, or Chief Gord Plains right now, has a fantastic relationship with the town. So.
Thank you for the question. I think that that's very important for us to do. I would love to work with them not only for tourism but also for environmental issues in the Sooke region. They've done a lot, especially with the solar projects, and I think that's something that we can learn from as well.
Growing up in London and then moving to Toronto, very multicultural places, I've never ever viewed these things as them or us. People are people are people. Everyone should be treated fairly, and I'll be a public servant for everybody, not just one or the other, and divide it up for everyone.
Thank you. Currently, the First Nations are consulted on every piece of development that we do within the region of the district, so they do have a say in everything that happens, and if there is lands that they see that they don't like the development, then they pass their comments on to us. And as Councillor Haldane said, this past council, we've developed a really great memorandum of understanding with them as well, and I think that we've got a great working group. We've met with them a few times, and I think we all work quite well together.
Well, the Sooke Nation is internationally recognized. It is one of Canada's 3 solar cities, and it's mystified me a little bit as to how we've not got into a more cooperative, collaborative relationship and started to expand the boundaries of Solar City outside of the First Nation. They've got a major aquaculture project going on at the moment, the solar project, the greenhouse projects. I think these can all be integrated. Solar panels on the municipal hall might be a starting point. You know, we can really make Sooke a real center for alternative energy. There's other projects happening here. Wind turbines, harnessing wave power. There's all sorts of positive alternative energy projects, and I think the Sooke Nation, collaborating with organizations such as Transition Sooke, the Sooke Food Chi, etc., can do some great work together.
Thank you. Yes, Bev touched on the memorandum of understanding. When Brenda Parkins and I were elected on council in 2007, we actually entered into that official memorandum of understanding with the Sooke Nation, and it covered a wide range of services and any types of services that we could actually enter into agreements with on providing mutual benefit to both communities. And that is annually reviewed and discussed with them to see if there's any changes that should be made. So I don't see any change. I think that we both move forward to make both our communities a lot better.
I would like to see us work closer with the Sooke Nation, and like Rick said, that we have the memorandum of understanding, and we used to meet more often back then, and I would like to see that happen now. I would like to see also working together with the outlying area as well, with Mike Hicks and the Sooke Nation and us, for the road systems going through and different projects within our town. Thank you.
I think I would stay the present course of the current council. From what I've been able to read and ascertain through the newspapers, I think we're working very well with the Sooke Nation. I'm not sure I would go as far as saying that we should have solar panels on the municipal hall. I've worked in for a lot of alternative energy companies, and the way they make their money through carbon offsets, it's not through the generation of power. So I'd be wary about that comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schlattner. We are in a time where we are working through treaty negotiations. There is treaty lands within our municipal boundaries, and we're also entering a time of reconciliation, recognizing the residential school and the impact that had on survivors. And I think we're in a time to move forward together. Historically, both communities live side by side in harmony, drawing the skills on one another, a lot of skilling, a lot of sharing, from arts and culture to construction and so forth. And I think there's a real opportunity, especially with the recreational components. They are leaders in alternative energy, and I would like to see us explore that more. There is the MOU as mentioned, but I do believe that the councils need to sit together more often to share ideas, especially from an economic development perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina, for the question. An MOU is a piece of paper. The value comes from a relationship, and valuing our relationship with our friends and neighbors, and I couldn't help but think what Mr. Haldane had said about the people that we grew up with. Some of them are the elders of the Sooke Nation. I can't help but think, how could I be that old if they're younger than me? Some of those people, but they're our friends and our neighbors. So it's about valuing that relationship and enhancing it wherever we can. Acknowledging that they have their local government, we have ours, and making sure that we have those open dialogues all the time. That's what it's really about. It's about simple relationship.
Thank you. I do believe this council has on occasion met with the Sooke Nation, government to government. Can we have more of those meetings? Absolutely. I think that what I do find is that everybody is very busy. Chief Planis is very busy doing the work that he does, as many of the council do. I think it has to be an individual thing. I've met with Andrew Moore. I've done a tour of the solar panels and the system that they have at the Sooke Nation. I've done a tour of the wasabi greenhouses, and it's very impressive. But time is difficult for everybody when you're trying to bring so many people together. But I agree with what's been said. This council has tried, and so has the Sooke Nation in terms of government-to-government business. Thank you.
I agree with everybody on this as well. Chief Planis and his group with the Sooke Nation has done a wonderful job so far. And we can really learn a lot from them. I'm on board all the way to more talks and get together, do things together, build things together if we have to, whatever we can do.
Derek Lewers, Sooke resident. I just want to give a little shout out to Janet, who's sitting in the back there making sure all the sound works, so thank you for doing that. Thank you to all the candidates for running. I know it's not an easy decision. You guys are putting yourself out there. You get questions from left field, and definitely a lot of pressure that comes with the job. My question is for the mayor candidates. From what I've heard so far tonight, there's a lot of similarities between the two of you as far as where you stand and what you believe in. I would like to hear 5 reasons that you're different from your opponent, and what the differences are that will make you a better leader. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I've had the privilege of serving with Mr. Haldane for 6 years now, and I think at heart we both feel we want the best for the community. And so perhaps some differences are I'm new to Sooke. I'm female. I'm 10 years younger. I'm more musically inclined than athletically skilled.
You're not prettier.
Apparently I'm more attractive. And
That's fine.
Wow, she took some of mine. I thought I was better looking. Maya's right. I mean, we've worked together and we've agreed and disagreed, and like Councillor Casper says, I mean, we've agreed this term 90% of the time. And last term, I mean, it was just a different style of government. I mean, I couldn't even go back there and explain. So the differences in us is, I mean, I think she has a different idea on parks and trails. She has a different idea on how to spend the budget. She has a different idea on the youth component as opposed to maybe the senior component. Her parents live here and they're seniors, and I'm sure she addresses the issues compared to myself, who I've got a senior father who's still here. My mother died some time ago, but I still have a youth component. I have a granddaughter that lives with me full time, so I think a lot along the lines of youth. So I would say I'm taller, bigger shoes, and in the end, I think we're just both good people wanting to do a job for the community. So.
Evening, Mark Poppy, Sooke resident now since '91, so I feel like I can call myself a Sookie. I feel like a Sookie because I've been commuting to Greater Victoria to work ever since I moved here, and it's everybody that works and lives out of Sooke says, "Sooke's so far, why do you live there? It's so far and that road is horrible." That's not what my question is about. What it's done is give me a sense of identity of being a Sooke resident, and very proud of that, and very proud of this community and what it represents, and how we kind of pull together when things happen, which is, you know, very laissez-faire. Oh yeah, the highway's closed again. Okay, fine. You know, what are we going to do in the meantime? And but my question is for Mr. Forgive me, Hanson. Yes. Is it okay with pro-amalgamation? Because Sooke is geographically separated, and we have our own sewer, we have our own very strong sense of identity, which goes back for generations. What could the possible benefits be to Sooke for amalgamation with a larger community outside of our geographical area, which I presume will be a centralized government not based in Sooke? If they want to run it out of Sooke, I'm all for it, but I don't think that would happen. So what's in it for us?
Well, to start off with, I just want to dispel a myth. The pro-amalgamation party is not seeking, not even looking towards creating one giant municipality to cover all of Greater Victoria. That's far, far, far from its goal. What it's really trying to do is it's trying to create a public support so that the provincial government can study the issue and tell us what the pros and cons of amalgamations would be. But I can tell you this, our current system in the CRD is made up of competing municipalities, not cooperating municipalities. We heard earlier on tonight about the municipal wage increases and how in each municipality they go to the next one and say, well, they got 3% in Victoria, they got 4% in Saanich. We are competing for municipal employees, we're competing for development dollars, we're competing for business dollars. Everything that goes on in all of those other municipalities impacts us. Even more so because of the fact that we are so far from Victoria. We are so far from the core. We are, in essence, the downstream owners. And the decisions that are made to say for rampant small lot development in Langford, that's cut the legs out of our real estate market here in Sooke. And we have no say in that. If there were a larger combination of municipalities, at least we'd have a say in what's going on in our area, in things that directly affect us. Do you think Saanich is ever going to put in an overpass at Mackenzie? No way. It doesn't affect their residents, but it sure affects us. And as for, look at the competing town centers that all of these municipalities are creating. We've got Colwood with the city center, we've got Uptown with Saanich trying to grab some business from Victoria. How do we as a small town at the end of a very long and twisting, winding road compete for the municipal resources, the residents, and the business? Amalgamation might give us a solution to that, even if it is with a smaller group of municipalities and not just one giant metropolitan area. Thank you.
Does anybody else want to crack at an amalgamation? No? You're all good? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Amy McIntosh. I am a Sooke resident. I grew up here. I moved away, came back. I have a small child. I'm friends with a lot of young moms as well. The hardest part about living here is having a place to get together for all of our kids to play outside or even inside on days like the last week that we've had. My question is for Maya Tate and Herb Haldane. How would you go to rectify it? How would you give us a place to go on weekends for us working moms?
Thank you, Ms. McIntosh. And I believe this is what has led us to the referendum question that's on the ballot, and it's about the creation of multi-purpose space and whether that's enhancing existing or building new. There's been a lot of work by a group of stakeholders to consult and to get that feedback from the community, and certainly that is something that has been raised. So it's important to this council, it's recognized, it's certainly something that I think is very important, and that's why it's on the ballot, so that it's an opportunity for someone like yourself and others to really bring that forward in terms of what is important and what is a priority, and how we can build on our existing resources and enhance them to ensure that the kids are inside when they need to be. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I guess our biggest problem in Sooke is always the resources. And in the end here, I see a part of the solution would be on weekends would be our school system. I mean, we already pay all the tax dollars for our schools now. That includes the fields and our gyms and even the rooms in the school. And they call it Edward Milne our community school. So that should mean that the community should be able to be entitled to use it, especially either at a lower cost or no cost at all, because we're already subsidizing it completely with tax dollars that come right out of this municipality. We have the community hall here, we have the Legion across the road, and the other Legion's private, but to some degree, it's not. It's just a bunch of members who used to be in the armed forces or still existing in the armed forces or police and so on. And these people here were given the opportunity to set up their own private club system based on the fact that they served their country and so on and so forth. But they like to have people in there. They like to be able to use their space as well, and I don't think it's used often enough. So between all the resources we have in the community, I would hope that we could come to some conclusion so that we could get kids and single moms and stuff, into another place. I don't think it's come up at a council meeting. It's probably part of the problem here. So yeah, it's something that has to be addressed. Thank you for the question. Appreciate that.
Okay, what Herb just said, I just want to touch on using the community school. It costs us money to do volleyball. Even when we're in school, it costs us money just to rent it out when we're in high school. It's a big issue. So here's a bit of a rant. Recently in a meeting to bring a 2% hotel tax for accommodations other than B&Bs in Sooke. At the meeting, nobody really had a business plan how we would spend that money. So I'm just kind of bringing this up. This could bring a substantial amount of money to Sooke for advertising for Sooke tourism, or we can invest into making this a better town for mainly the Sooke youth. And as well the tourism industry. I have many ideas, I can go on forever, but I won't. But my best ideas would help Sooke youth benefit when it comes to them playing sports and encouraging them to get scholarships and focus in school to be the best they can be. Do you think a 2% hotel tax should go into promoting Sooke or benefiting the youth and families like Amy's in the community?
Well, that's kind of a tough one, because we haven't had discussion.
Until we fill the entire core area on the current boundary, they would just laugh us out the room. They'd say, you don't need to extend your sewer. You've got all kinds of area here in land that you have supplied the sewer system to, and wait until that's developed. Come to us when you need a true expansion. And I'm sorry to say, but that's the reality. And whoever made that promise to you was wrong. And I think that was a mistake. And I don't operate that way. And I don't think a lot of other people agree that they should operate that way either. So.
My name is Ron Belinsky, and a week ago Saturday I attended an all-day session at Sooke Harbor House that was asking the community, what was your passion? What changes did you want to see in Sooke? And I know that a number of you were able to make either part or all of that day. So my question is, what is your passion? What is the one thing that you would really like to see accomplished during your term? Some of the things that were brought up during that session were things like promoting agriculture, jobs, promoting the emergency social services programs in Sooke. But I'd like to hear, what is your passion that you're going to put the time, the energy, and commitment to, that you would feel really proud about at the end of your term?
Well, I happen to have the mic, Ron, and yes, it was wonderful to sit in on that emergency services piece, the emergency preparedness that you led at the Transition Town Sooke's open space event at the Harbor House 2 weeks ago. For me, the one thing, I guess, on the whole range would be farmland protection. We have a green belt right at the edge of Helgeson Road, and there was the Wright Farm and the Eco Village plan of the Village Farm. There's a beautiful piece of property that links over to Sun River. It would be wonderful to see that piece of land, that protection there across the way, Joan Lunsden's farm, now Mary Call's farm, and Steve Unger's, and that to me would be really important. That's a long-term, multi-generational piece where we can, our true Central Park of the future could well be that Wright Farm, I feel. Rick, would you?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Passion, gee whiz, my wife's here, we've been married 22 years, so that's my passion. She's 5th generation Sooke. And you know, I'm reminded every day why we live here. And it's because of the people, it's because of our surrounding area, and what we have to do is capitalize on it so we don't destroy why we're here. That's my passion. But to do it in a way that's sustainable, affordable, so that everybody can get some kind of benefit, not just one group over another. My passion is to ensure that the entire community, no matter where they're from, gains all that success that we've had here and we hope to accomplish in the future. And I'm reminded that every day when I come home. It's people that built this community, and we should never forget it. It's not a council, it's not elected officials, it's not provincial government or federal government, it's the people who live here, and that's what I'm passionate about. Thank you.
Thank you, that's a great question. My passion would be our local surroundings. What brought me and my family back to Sooke and back to my hometown is our sense of community and fiscal responsibility. Being a certified bookkeeper, I can't help but look at numbers all the time. So my passion is to keep our sense of community, keep us fiscally responsible, and I think the way to do that is to foster relationships and build partnerships with all of our local service groups, as well as, you know, EMCS Society, the Sea Park Board, just keeping everybody working together.
Hello, Ron. I would like to accomplish, and I'm passionate about doing this, is proper sidewalks or decent curbs at least, so that people don't have to have a white line to protect them. I would like to think that if I get voted in by you good people, the current council, the present council that I'll be working with, would support that issue first and foremost. To me, the safety of everyone in this room and everyone that didn't make it here is actually the most important thing to me. Thank Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. I love that question. I am here to promote an intergenerational approach to community development. When I was working with the Sooke Youth Council, I did a project called the Youth Friendly Community Project, and we asked a group of students, 50 students, how many of them wanted to leave Sooke after graduation. Almost every single one of them raised their hand because they wanted to get the heck out of Dodge. Well, that kind of broke my heart a little bit because we love Sooke and we love those students. They're amazing. So we asked them again, how many of you want to return to Sooke after your travel, after your education, after your work elsewhere, after you've gained those worldly experiences? And every single one of them raised their hands again because they wanted to come back here. But they asked me over and over again, what are we going to come back to? Are our developments going to have trees in them or not? Are we going to have parks for our kids to play in? So they have a lot of concerns that are legitimate about this community. They want to return here and they want to live here and they want to invest here. They want to build homes, they want to build businesses, they want to raise families. So they're concerned about what is going to happen here in the future, and that's why I'm here today.
For years now, since long before I was ever even a councillor, the main question's always been, what about your road to Sooke, your road to Sooke? Well, what it comes down to is about 8 years ago, before I was a councillor, I sat with Jody Twa, Stu Young, Janet Evans, Ministry of Highways, and a bunch of local stakeholders. And the whole idea there was to try and get another road through Sooke, or another road from Sooke to Shawnigan, Sooke to Mom Miller's pub area on the Kapoor lands through the Waterboard property. And that came up 2 other times since then, but nobody's ever followed that. So I think a passion, I mean, everybody wants the sidewalks and to fix up the downtown of it, but a real passion is to come up with a solution to the traffic issue between here and Victoria or here in Up Island. And I think that's possible. In Pitt Lake in Vancouver, they have passive recreation on that entire lake, and that's the water source for the greater city of Vancouver. And they still have water skiing cabins and so forth on that lake, and they have recreation. They do the same thing in Lake Cowichan, and that's the water source for the Cowichan Valley District. There's no reason why we have to have a completely protected watershed area up in Sooke Lake when we have the ability to drive cars past there and get to Shawnigan if there's an emergency, or to get to Millstream area if there's an emergency. So that would be a passion of mine to follow through with that.
My passion would see the downtown core having sidewalks, having streetscape, having numerous stores, having a gathering place for people to go to. I would like to see the downtown be bright and alive, and so that there is a lot to offer to people coming to Sooke.
About what we would do with that tax, if the hotels are collecting it, my guess is the bed and breakfast and the hotels are going to want to be using it for something to either sell Sooke, sell their rooms. I think the youth component is probably it'd be a different line item in a budget. I mean, I agree, we have to come up with something else for the youth component of it, but I don't think the hotel tax is the way to do that. I do believe we have to put more money into youth stuff in this town, believe me when I say that.
So I'm just saying, like, every time I've ever talked to you, Herb, or other counselors about bringing things into the community for youth, it's always like, we don't have enough money, we don't have enough money. Well, here's a great opportunity for this town to get some money for the youth, because this is how, hold on, this is how this town will make money, is by bringing tourists in. It started when we were it started when we were very young. It started very young. We brought other people into this town. Other families to come to baseball, hockey, everything. The Prestige Hotel needs business. This is how we're going to get the business.
Okay.
This is how we're going to do it.
Let them answer.
We need the Sooke youth to benefit. You need them to play sports. No horseshoe pits. None of that. You need, you know?
Thank you. So the mayor did form a panel to address the 2% hotel tax, and they're still collecting information. My understanding of that, because it hasn't come forward to council in a formal report, is that it has to be collected and spent on the promotion of the community, is my understanding. And so different hoteliers or the accommodation providers would use it to promote the community. Recreation for youth is a priority, and I would agree with Herb Haldane on that it's prioritizing that and finding a different revenue stream that can be used to generate, whether it's facilities for youth, but the hotel tax itself is about promoting the community.
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
Here, I'll take it. Ryan, thank you for your question, and I'm happy to see some passionate young people in the room. I want to first invite you to talk to me about that, because I would love to hear more about what you have to say. And also, I want to throw forward the thought of sport tourism. It is a thing, and it works for many communities like Kelowna and Nanaimo. So it's something that could be looked into. Obviously, I don't have the experience that the past council has had with that, so I have to do more research around the 2% hotel tax and how that can be applied. But I also want to make it very clear that youth issues are not just for youth, they're for the community. So things that youth have told me they want, for example, would be a lit walking path that they can go with their friends or that they can exercise on. This is something I've also heard from seniors in the community. So things that we can do for youth are not just for youth, and that's something I need to make really clear right now.
Thanks, Ryan, for your question. Thanks for being so passionate about our youth issues here in Sooke. And as you know, growing up in Sooke, it's always been an issue. We always have kids and teenagers saying that there's not a lot to do out here. And really there's not, because we are disconjointed from the rest of the town as far as movie theaters and bowling alleys. But just to touch base on what you brought forward, I did do a bit of reading on the hotel tax, and I believe it's provincially legislated. So any hotel tax or any hoteliers or bed and breakfasts that actually do charge that 2% tax, it's provincially legislated that it has to go back to advertising or promotion of that particular establishment. So unfortunately, I don't think that that can be a component. But the provincial government did just change the gas tax laws just this past year. So all of our gas tax revenues that used to have to be spent for infrastructure can now be spent for sports recreation. So to touch base on your recreation ideas, there will be new funding available to municipalities that they can spend for recreation for youth.
And Ryan, one thing that we did this year is that we put $50,000 a year, it was casino revenue funds, into what we would have hoped would be a combination seniors youth facility, so that when the seniors use it during the day, then the youth can use it in the evenings or perhaps on the weekends. But you know, you speak strongly and you're part of the community, and I'd encourage you to keep speaking out. Our council has broadened our working relationship with Sea Park. Bev is a member of the Sea Park Recreation Commission. So we have to work closely with them because they're in the active recreation business, we aren't. But I think we can help facilitate a lot of ideas. We can come with some dollars and to accomplish what you're advocating and what others. And I think, you know, when you talk about seniors and youth, yes, because seniors are mentors for youth and we have to take advantage of that. Thanks for the question.
I would also like to see, like we have an arts committee that is formed by the council. I would like to see a youth committee formed by the council that has 2 councillors on it or however many, plus the youth, so that they can put forward their ideas and be presented to the council and see where it can go from there.
I'm going to take a little bit more of a business-centered approach to this. I think that I've got 2 young children myself, and I would love to see more opportunities for both youth sports and youth activities in Sooke. But I think that first we must build up the business and commercial core of the town, actually bring money and people and jobs to Sooke. And that's going to have a trickle-down effect that will bring our children into, we'll have a better facilities for them, we'll have better opportunities for them, but we need to make the opportunities first. We've got to focus on getting the business here so that we can fund these activities. We can't fund them to the exclusion of supporting our town and making our town grow. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Kind of reminded me of the days when I was coaching you. You were a bit of a handful then. You know, Ryan, buried in there is your passion, and there's more than one way to skin a cat on this. You're right. Encourage participation in our hotels. Encourage events to come to our town. You know, we've lost a couple of big events, and I won't say the the triathlon word out here. But we've lost some events, and when we get funding from that 2% hotel tax, that means council has other monies that are available because we're spending less on promotion. But really, it's about focusing and knowing that we can do something and that there's passion in our community to do it. So again, you're right. We need to focus on some of those activities that we can bring to town, so we can free up other money. Thank you.
Ryan, where'd he go? I used to be a youth. now I'm a senior. I'm all in favor of helping out with kids as much as we can. I've coached lacrosse, hockey, I played football, I've curled, I've coached curling. I'm all in favor. If I get in, come and talk.
Hang on.
Short. Hi, I'm Maureen Savoy, and I've lived in Sooke since '91. I live on Kaltassin Road, where they tried to change the zoning. Fortunately, it didn't go through. But my question is, we were promised sewers over in that part of the town a number of years ago. My question's to all of you about extending the sewer system to the school and to Kaltassin, and however far it needs to go. Thank you.
Well, that's actually part of my platform. I'd like to see phase 2 and phase 3 go through as soon as possible. Unfortunately, it's my understanding that some of the piping that has been put in is starting to collapse. So we need to investigate that and go from there.
Thank you. The sewer, and both Councillor Berger and Councillor Haldane and Councillor Tate have much more extensive information in terms of the sewer system. In this term, we've had very little involvement in the sewer system, but what I do understand about the sewer system is that the town core is still nowhere near to capacity. And you can't really economically start extending until you're actually using the full capacity of the sewer system. I think it's important that the sewer system does get extended, but it means we've got to get development and we've got to build our downtown core so that we can maximize the sewer, we can get the funding, and then we can start to expand it to the other areas of the community. And just on the sewer piece, there's even areas of Sooke that still don't have water. So I think that's also a big item for this council to be looking at, is making sure that people are getting water to their homes as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. The sewer specified area in Sooke, as Councillor Reyes said, it isn't at capacity and it's not filled up. And our first obligation as a council, before we expand it, is to densify and maximize the sewer where it's at. Expanding will also expand urban sprawl by extending the sewer, because that's when zoning increases happen as well. So you have to be very careful as you choose going forward with expanding the sewer system. So the first mission for any council, this council or going forward, will be to maximize the sewer that we have now. And as Councillor Ray said, there's some other priorities that are out there, like extending water to our boundaries as well. That's part of our OCP. So.
Thank you, Ms. Savoy. The Kaltassin and Whiffenspit areas have both been identified as areas of concern for marine habitat, and we do have a restriction within the sewer specified area. The current wastewater treatment agreement that we have with EPCOR will be expiring in the upcoming term. So it's a good time for council to look at all of the options, to assess the current system, to see what's working and what not working, and to look at expansion in a way that's affordable. Because when it's been examined in the past, it's very expensive and it would be difficult for those residents to bear those expenses. The Sooke Nation has lobbied and requested that the sewer be brought over to Kaltassin. So having, again, improving that dialogue and building that relationship may open up some opportunities. But I think in the beginning we need to know where we are, and then we can see where we can go.
I would say that sewer, actually extending the sewers would be one of my main priorities. I looked at what happened in Langford. We often look at Langford and say, well, it's the big box stores that made Stu Young's land great. It brought all the people and brought all the business to them. But really what came before that was the extension of the sewer lines, and that allowed for a greater density of building and more people moving to Langford. Caltassin, I have a number of clients that are down in Caltassin and have been waiting for the sewer for a number of years. It's been key to all of their plans, key to plans for redevelopment. So I would definitely see sewage extension as being something that we need to do in this town, because the development and density will follow the sewers, and I see that as a positive thing. I don't see an increase in density as a negative thing. Thank you.
I too would like to see the increase in sewers once we know what is taking place and once the downtown core is full. I would like to see where the sewers go down to Caltassin, to the locations that are on the water. So down Whiffenspit and down Wright Road. And so I think that would be good for the town. Thank you.
Well, what I have to tell you about sewers will take a whole lot longer than a minute, I'll tell you that. So what I can tell you is that in our town center, or in the sewer specified area, we allowed 23% growth of our entire municipality within Sooke. And if you wanted to grow outside of 23%, that would be expanding the sewer, but then you're going to bring in more density, as Councillor Pearson has pointed out. Right now, the bridge itself can't hold any more weight. So we can't take a pipe across there. So we're going to be required to build a new bridge, which some people might say, well, we should have an extra bridge anyway. But that would come at a huge cost, and obviously we can't afford that, and Highway and Transportation isn't willing to give us a new bridge anytime soon. The other thing you have, if you do go across the bridge, keep this in mind, the town center moves. We have a great relationship with the Sooke Nation, but Sooke Nation has property over there that doesn't charge rent or triple nets with their rent. So that's taxes. So they can build up their own town center there if we get sewer over on the other side. And if the town center goes there, then it hurts the town center we have in their downtown now. So there's a whole bunch of complicated issues that come along with expanding the sewer to the outside as well. So keep that in mind.
Obviously, the other council members have a lot more information than I do about this topic, but of course that's something I know what it's like to live without a sewer, especially when the power goes out for a month. So I do empathize with you there.
Just like Ebony, I would need to get a lot more information and know what the dollars and cents are all about before I'd spend a penny. While I understand the importance of that issue, to me, most of the decisions will come down to dollars and cents and how we spend it.
Thank you. I agree that sewer should happen in certain areas of the community, but that has to happen in due time. Currently, as other councillors have stated, our current capacity is just around roughly 50%. So if we're looking to expand anywhere, that's going to drive up the sewer user charge. So those of us that live in the sewer specified area right now are paying roughly $550, $530 a year for our sewer usage charge to have that privilege. So EPCOR, our current provider, did a cost effecting of what it would be to say go down Caltassin. As Herb stated, the Ministry of Transportation won't allow us to put any more pipe on the current bridge. So not only do we have to have another bridge before we can come down Caltassin area, the charge for you right now, based on what EPCOR has provided us, would be roughly $700 per year, because our current bylaw states that only people that benefit from the sewer pay for the sewer. So personally, I don't foresee it happening in the near future.
Okay, this is another field that I don't have any expertise in, though we do have a septic field at, on Whiffenspit. It's functional. So that's good news. And there was a representative from the CRD at council meeting 2 weeks ago, and she was speaking about how, in fact, things are actually pretty functional in our harbor. We're not seeing a lot of outflow, so it's perhaps not a crisis. I was canvassing out in Caltassin, and it's an interesting issue. So knocking on doors, there was a mix of opinions. Yes, we need sewers, and no, in fact. Sewers will in fact create a bit of a crisis. There's rentals, affordable housing down there. When that's redeveloped, we're going to have to look, where are we going to produce more rentals, more affordable housing? So, complicated issue. I'm learning a lot. Can't get it across the bridge, so maybe it's even kind of academic.
So I'll put my hat on as the chair of the Finance Committee. The district actually took cash money from people who own large tracts of land within our current specified area. They pre-purchased capacity to that sewer. We have an obligation to supply the sewer services for those properties for the people who paid that money. They assisted the district in getting the sewer in place. That was 2004. There's no chance that a federal or provincial government will forward grants to Sooke, and that's the only way that you can extend a sewer system in a major way, is to have assistance from the two senior levels of government.